For joining us here at the Hilton Hotel in Liverpool today. It's always great to be in the city, and even better when we're bringing World Championship boxing to the city, and even better when you've got one of your own defending his World Championship in the city, and not just any one of your own, the number one in the division, Callum Smith, the reigning WBA, WBC Diamond and Ring Magazine super middleweight champion of the world, and delighted to confirm his opponent, his mandatory challenger, John Ryder, of course, on probably one of the hottest spells in the division right now. Stoppages, 4 of them on the bounce against Jamie Cox, Patrick Nielsen, Sorokin, and then Akaway on the Canelo card recently in Las Vegas. He's on a great run of form. And it's so good to have a domestic fight for that World Championship, as I said. You know, I was talking to Callum about the top 15 and looking at voluntary defences, and sometimes it's difficult when you've achieved what he's achieved to really get your teeth into one of those defences. And I know you lot particularly want to see a good fight. You want to see someone that's coming to win. You want to see someone that could achieve their dream of becoming a world champion. And Callum Smith knows that this is a very real test and challenge. He's dealing with his mandatory at the right time. And, you know, we talk about the Anfield fight, and there's a lot of people on this card who will be part of that Anfield fight and that Anfield dream, if you like. And, you know, talks with Liverpool are ongoing about a fight in May. And I know that Callum Smith's not thinking about this, and John Ryder's not thinking about this, but obviously for a city, there is a massive opportunity. And I think everybody on this card, from the Scouse side, who wins, if the big man here wins, then they're going to be coming along for the ride at Anfield as well. But John Ryder has completely different ideas, here to gatecrash that party and here to become the world champion, here to win these 3 belts. So this is a great main event. Fowler, welcome back. I think a lot less pressure on you this time around than there was at the Echo Exhibition Centre last time against Brian Rose. Topped that bill on Sky Sports, JD Next Gen. That was really a fighting for your championship career at that stage. Now a little bit more relaxed, but just as important now to keep going, keep getting these wins, and obviously fantastic to be doing it in the big arena, M&S Bank Arena.
Yeah, obviously it's great to box in Liverpool. It's my first fight of the year, which I'm very grateful to have the chance to fight in front of my home crowd, which is great. And just want to keep winning. Just going to keep winning, get that rematch, put it right, and then move on to bigger and better things.
Obviously, last fight up at catchweight, you're now ranked with the WBO top 15 at middleweight, but speaking to Dave Colwell, want to move to 154. Is that partly because, you know, you want that rematch or the Cheeseman fight, so you want to make sure you're campaigning that division as well?
Yeah, of course. There's no point me fighting at catchweights when I'm not going to move up. So I need to make 154, make it well, get used to it, and then when I get the rematch eventually, I'll be ready to wait. I'll be prepared. And I've lost that fight because of the weight. I'd love to make excuses, but I lost it because of my own mental state, and I've learnt my lesson from looking past people and being overconfident. And every fight now, mate, it's like life or death. I'm treating every fight as a world title fight, and come November 23rd, I'll be ready for anything.
And just finally on that, I know everyone talking about the potential rematch between you and Fitzgerald. He's the challenger going into the Ted Cheeseman fight. The odds are very, very close. You see Fitzgerald coming through that fight?
Well, I'm hoping so. I'll be good to the losers, but either way, I don't really care. I don't care about that belt. If I want to rematch that kid, if I'm honest, I'm not bothered by the belt.
Thank you. Pricey, I've never seen you so animated as when you beat Dave Allen. You were telling people, excuse my language, to F off and giving them that sign, and you know it was brilliant. So many people so happy for you once you got the win, but obviously it showed what that win meant to you and showed you the desire that you still have in your career. We bumped into each other actually in Ibiza in the summer, didn't we? I don't know how many beers you'd had. I'd had a few, but you started telling me that you didn't want to just be slung into fights anymore. You got to a stage where you were taking fights not just for the money, but just because you didn't know where the next big fight was coming for. So you took fights, as we know, against Povetkin and Kuzmin, and probably fights that you shouldn't have, but you know, obviously have set you up financially. But now it's a different mentality from David Price. You know, you said to me that day in Ibiza, look, I believe I have a big future in the sport, and I believe if navigated properly, I can get a shot at the world title. And now back in the top 15, back here at the Echo Arena, looking to have another big win on this renaissance, if you like.
Yeah. Just enjoying the sport again, Eddie. I think the Dave Allen fight was the first fight in a few years that I actually felt like I'd won. Because even when I had won, I was analysing after it, I weren't good enough, you know, kind of just being a little bit too hard on myself, but that one I knew it was a performance, and I ticked a lot of boxes, and at the end of it, I've never really used proving people wrong as a motivation, but that felt good to prove people wrong, and I was like, what? This is fucking great. I'm gonna use this again in future to prove people wrong. So I want people to keep doubting me. But initially after the fight, I was like, right, I can get a big fight now and cash out. Yeah. But then after a week or so, I was like, it's not the time to cash out yet. If I can play my cards right and continue to perform, you know, I can go further, but not only that, it adds to the story, you know, which is already quite interesting. If I could sit down with anyone and tell them the story in my career, I've had some ups and downs, I've had interesting things happen to me, you know, you could write a book about it, but now I'm just glad I've got the opportunity to fight again on the Matchroom show on Sky Live again, because, you know, my last 5 fights have been on these shows, I've been really enjoying it. The people seem to be getting behind me again, and yeah, it's just onwards and upwards. I just want to build on it and onwards and upwards.
You're still that guy you won't see. That, you know, we represent, I don't know, a dozen of the top 20 heavyweights in the world. You're still that guy that when I mention your name, they go, it's a bit risky versus reward, you know, and that fear is still out there for David Price. Do you still feel that? And obviously, the confidence that you have now, coming off, I don't know, maybe the back of the Povetkin fight or even the Kuzmin fight, must be on another level to where you're at right now with your career, because essentially you're backing yourself now. Yeah, every fight's dangerous, but you're not saying, put me in a big fight for the big money. You say, no, put me in a fight that's going to advance me to where I need to be.
It's only now that my confidence is up that I can truly recognise that it was down in the past, if you know what I mean. Everything's just feeling flowing, just feeling easy. Everything's lighter for me because I'm enjoying it, and my confidence is back up. And it's when I think back to preparing for the Povetkin fight, preparing for other fights, my confidence weren't there. It was just getting in and being hopeful of winning. But now I'm going to be getting in and believing I'm going to get in and do a job, and it just makes things a lot easier.
Look forward to seeing you at the Echo Arena. I know the support. The arena will be unbelievable for you, John. It has been an incredible run. You know, the Nielsen fight was incredible, and obviously we've been through them, Cox, Sorokin. For me, the Akaway fight was the one where you really came of age. You know, you were on that show, but you were almost like the away fighter there. You were set up to lose that fight from Golden Boy. It was their show. It was their new prospect, and you took him apart. And, you know, that was really going in there, risking your mandatory status in that fight. Now, as Charlie said, by far the biggest moment of your life and your career so far. Yeah, massively. The Akaway fight was a box ticked. I mean, it's a dream to box in Vegas on such a prestigious card, but this is the real dream now, a world title fight. Obviously moving into 168 pounds, taking you a little bit of time, but now you seem to have moved into the weight perfectly. Tell us about that confidence and that strength. You're coming against probably the biggest super middleweight out there at 168, but full of confidence, and you really believe you have your strength now at that weight. Yeah, I've got a great team. I mean, Tony's working hard on my boxing. Got Dan Lawrence working hard on my strength conditioning and nutrition, and I just believe that I'm in the best place possible, mentally and physically. I think people talking about Callum as number one. You've also fought another great super middleweight in Billy Joe Saunders. A lot of people thought you won that fight for the British middleweight title a while ago. Speaking to Charlie and Tony, you know, when they were negotiating for this fight, talking about other options, it was only when we agreed the deal with Charlie that he turned around and said, John's going to be so happy, he wants this fight so bad. You know, this is the reason you got into that mandatory position. This is your chance to become a world champion on November 23rd, and this is the fight that you wanted. Despite people believing you're an underdog in this fight, this is the fight that you wanted. Yeah, massively. I've worked hard. I've had 4 hard fights. I beat the number one in Patrick Nielsen. It's taken longer than I expected, but we've got there now, and it's a fight I believe I can win. He's a great champion. He beat a great champion to become champion. He's not just gone and won a vacant title. He's gone and beat a champion. He is world number one, and I want to test myself against the best. Thank you, John. Callum, back in Liverpool. I know this was important to you as well. It's taken some time. Obviously, a dominating performance over Hassan and Dam at Madison Square Garden. That was another box ticked. and now really looking to put a big run together, starting in Liverpool on November the 23rd.
Yeah, it's good to be back in Liverpool. I said when I turned professional, I believe I was good enough to win a world title and bring a world title back to the city, and this is it now. This is my chance to perform in front of my own fans, and I thought winning a world title was the top of the mountain, and when I won it I realised it weren't, and there's a lot more I want to achieve and a lot of more boxes I want to tick, and Madison Square Garden was one, and defending my world title in Liverpool's definitely one, and there's talk of a massive 2020 and all that disappears if I slip up November 23rd, so I'm fully motivated. I worked hard to be a world champion, and I'm going to work even harder to keep it, and that all starts November 23rd.
Obviously, we talked about that voluntary defence. We looked at that top 15. We knew that John was the mandatory, and you were keen to make sure you faced your mandatory. Keen that you fought a domestic rival as well. You wanted to make sure you knew that you were in for a proper fight. And all these talks about Anfield and the meetings, they're all irrelevant until November the 24th.
Yeah, definitely. I've always been, every fight in my career has been a must-win from my debut till now. I've always felt that to get to where I want to be, I can't afford to lose, and it's exactly the same, if not more important now. I need to keep winning, and I want to see how good I am and test myself against some of the biggest names in the division and the biggest names in boxing, and I can't go on and do that if I lose to John Ryder, and I'm fully motivated. He's a good fighter, he's on a good run of form, but so am I. I'm in a good form of my career. I'm number one in the world for a reason, and the best version of me beats any super middleweight on the planet, and that includes John Ryder.
Same question for you as was for Pricey, really. Talking about making these other fights, you are a name right now that is striking fear into the division as well. I put Canelo's team up with those likes. I've been involved in those conversations, those boardrooms where Callum Smith gets fired into the equation. I see the eyes say, no, not yet. It's people believe that super middle is a struggle for you, being the size that you are. But I know being on the inside, it's not as difficult as people seem, and still very much the aim is to clear up in the 168-pound division.
Yeah, people always talk about 175, and it is an option. I'd love to be a 2-weight world champion. What I said before, I want to stay in boxing to achieve as much as I can, and a 2-weight world champion is something I would like to do, but I want to clear up a super middle. I want to try and unify the division. If I can do that, then the next goal will be try and not be undisputed, and I'm massive for the weight, but I've got a great team, a great nutritionist, and I'm very dedicated, and I do the weight well, and my last few performances suggest that I can do it and perform at it, and as long as that's the case, then I'll do it. I'll keep winning, and like I say, I want to clean up the division.
Finally, we know that all eyes are on November 23rd. It's going to be a very tough fight for you. We saw Darrell on Saturday night. Obviously, we're pushing the WBC to order that fight against Darrell as the Diamond Champion, and also Billy Joe Saunders, obviously now part of the Matchroom and Sky Sports team as well. Big fights out there for you if you can come through John Ryder on November 23rd.
Yeah, there's massive fights. I'm in a division where there's 4 undefeated world champions, and I believe I'm the best. And if you've got a belt in my weight division, then you're part of my plans. And they're the fights that I want. They're the fights that do motivate me. But like I said before, I'm fully focused on November 23rd and John Ryder. And I don't just want to win. I want to win, do a good job, and put on a big performance.
Thank you, Callum. I'm sure it's going to be a great fight for the WBC, Diamond, WBA and Ring Magazine World Championship, the creme de la creme, this title here, the best of the division. And we look forward to a great domestic World Championship fight in this great city, November 23rd at the M&S Bank Arena.